Right, welcome ladies and gents. Let's talk Black Adam. So, let's talk Black Adam because it has now finally crossed $250 million worldwide. This isn't hitting profit, like it hasn't hit profit yet. You know, it costs $200 million to make. Hitting $250 million doesn't mean it's even broken even, actually. So we'll dive into this today, ladies and gents. Again, passes $250 million worldwide. Its final total, not terrible, not great, in terms of what they're projecting. However, they're projecting that solely because of Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever releasing, which we'll get into, because I think that will take a lot of steam away from Black Adam, but I don't think it will be as much of a success as what people are thinking it's going to be, because a lot of people seem disenfranchised with the Chadwick Boseman leaving and that whole situation. So I think that's an interesting discussion. Other interesting discussions, great segue, is over on my second channel, Mistakes Reviews Live Archives. I'm streaming again Tuesdays and Thursdays, and look, I don't have time to watch a 2-hour stream. I'm sure you don't either. So head on over to that channel. It's linked in the description box, and you'll find clips covering a wide range of very interesting topics, very interesting discussions with fellow creators and industry professionals. I've got some really cool guests lined up in the future as well. So check it out. But like I said, we'll dive into this today. Black Adam has passed $250 million worldwide. But Eye's final total similar to Eternals and Shazam. So the interesting thing about this, and this is what I thought would happen, is that it had legs. It had good word of mouth, right? So Black Adam star Dwayne Johnson was saying, you know, this is a movie for the fans, and he did a recent tweet about it hitting, there was a recent tweet anyway, about it hitting $100 million quicker than any other DC movie. And it has, right? And this is what I mean, like this here becomes something undeniably about sort of word of mouth success. You know, people watch the film, was like, oh, that's a good little film, pass it on, and then they did, and then other people have watched it, so on and so forth. Now, it did have a pretty not horrendous drop. Opening weekend wasn't great, wasn't horrendous either, but the drop off was pretty good actually. Only a 48.6% drop off during its second weekend. Normally does it a lot bigger than that, to be fair. 50, 60, yeah, like that's when you start to look into it getting worse and worse and worse. 48.6%, it's not horrendous, not great, but it's not horrendous either. So the international box office from there brought up to $139 million. So now it's somewhere around the $250 million mark. Again, this is not the film that I guess Warner Brothers probably wanted it to be yet. And it hasn't hit profit yet. Now they comment here and say that there's no China release yet. But China has started to approve some US releases for things. However, projections are saying that Black Adam will likely hit $370 million or $420 million. Now let's kind of analyze that. Is any of this a success? $420 million I wouldn't say is a massive success for Black Adam. I wouldn't say it's a huge failure either, because I think Warner Brothers and I think David Zaslav will be looking at this from the perspective of this movie is resetting to a degree fan expectation for DC movies. It's also bringing back characters that we want to use in the future. Did people respond to it? Yes. Did people not? And they're kind of judging it from that perspective. So $420 million, although that's not what they wanted, is that something which they could stomach respective of how they're probably viewing this film? Yeah. And I think that's important to note, basically. You know, and a good comparison for this, which I said at the time, and people were like, "You're talking nonsense," was Godzilla King of the Monsters and Godzilla vs. Kong. I said, Legendary's playing the long game. Other movies will be announced. they got announced. They're playing the long game. They're playing the franchise game. You know, comics, models, everything, licensing everywhere. They're playing a long game, accumulative wealth, accumulative profit, as opposed to individual based profit. So they're looking for a franchise which overall generates profit. And I said at the time, they considered King of the Monsters a huge success opening weekend. They really liked it. Anyway, scratch all of that stuff which I've had to kind of edit out because I've revealed some things I shouldn't have said. But they considered it a success. I know that for a fact. And this will be a similar situation, I think. Now, Warner Brothers obviously don't work or own Godzilla, right? That's a legendary production co-produced with Warner Brothers for 25% stake. However, this, I think that they will be viewing it from a franchise growth perspective. Now, let's talk about Black Panther Wakanda Forever, because they say this here, you know, that Black Panther Wakanda Forever is going to be releasing here, right, November 11th. I don't think that's going to eat into the profit for Black Adam as much as people are assuming. Yes, they're both superhero films, but they're actually of a completely different ilk, and the social media buzz around one versus the other is completely different. You know, on one hand, you've got one which is very, very clearly made for the fans, to appease fans, and that's the primary focus. The other is a Marvel film, which, I mean, even as noted in this article, because I don't want to beat around the bush here with a lot of this stuff, but, you know, Multiverse of Madness almost hit $1 billion. But Marvel has been on a decline, and the clips circulating for Black Panther Wakanda Forever are awful. They're genuinely terrible. If you've not seen the clips circulating, just do a mild search for it. They're terrible. It's not Namor anymore. It's Namor, as the character himself says in one of the clips. It's not looking good. And if we're talking about word of mouth, I think, hot prediction, Black Panther Wakanda Forever will outbeat Black Adam opening weekend, right? I think it will. But I don't think the word of mouth will be as strong. So I don't actually think it'll take too much off of Black Adam. Because one has really strong word of mouth, the other just doesn't. A lot of people don't seem that interested in it. You know, and Marvel, as I've said before, has been on a decline. Their profits have actually gone down from their movies. There used to be a time when most movies would be close to $1 billion. Quite literally, like look at it, it's insane. And they're just going down and down and down and down, and the response from the audience is getting worse. So I don't know whether that'll be a factor, but I don't think that it's a given that Black Panther will, you know, absolutely tear apart the audience that will want to go see Black Adam. I think there'll be obviously a strong opening weekend, but then from there, yeah. So again, Black Adam, has it done well? Yeah, it's done reasonably well. It's still not hit profit, but I think that they're going to be happy with this for the simple fact of a long game. They're playing the marathon, not the sprint.